The men women never forget aren't the ones who tried the hardest, they're the ones who never had to. They didn't try at all. Have you ever noticed that the man a woman remembers 10 years later is almost never the one who loved her the most? It's not money, it's not status, and it's definitely not the grand romantic gestures. So what is it? It's something internal, something quiet, something most modern men have been trained out of, but that a handful of ancient philosophers understood over 2,000 years ago. Men like Marcus Aurelius, men like Epictetus, men who moved through the world so differently that forgetting them simply wasn't an option. Today, I'm going to show you 6 things these men did, 6 specific behaviors rooted in Stoic philosophy that made them psychologically unforgettable. And I need to be honest with you, number 5 is the one most men will hear, understand completely, and still refuse to do. Most men exhaust themselves trying to be chosen. They perform. They overthink every text, every silence, every reaction on her face, adjusting, recalibrating themselves into whatever she thinks she wants. You've seen this. Maybe you've been this. But the man she never forgets, he wasn't performing. He wasn't adjusting. He moved through the world unhurried, unmoved by approval, anchored in something she couldn't quite name, but could always feel. He didn't try to become someone worth remembering. He simply was. 6 things, each one deeper than the last, and the final one is the thread that holds all the others together. Trait number 1, he keeps his word without announcing it. A woman never forgets a man whose words and actions are the same thing, not because he announced it, but because she noticed it on her own. Most men overpromise, grand declarations, long speeches about what they're going to do, and then, quietly, hoping she won't notice, they don't. A Stoic man, he says less, does more, and his reliability isn't something he performs, it's something she discovers, slowly, over time. Imagine she mentions something in passing, something small, something she barely remembers saying, a problem, a worry. He doesn't make a speech. He doesn't say, "I've got you, don't worry about it." He just handles it. Days later, she realizes it's done. No reminder, no "you're welcome," no receipt handed to her for his effort, just done. That silence echoes louder than every promise another man ever made her. Integrity isn't loud. It's the quietest thing about him, and the one thing she remembers longest. Trait number 2, he holds boundaries without anger. A woman never forgets a man who said no and never raised his voice to say it. Most men fall into 2 traps. They either have no boundaries at all, saying yes to everything, bending until they break, hoping compliance earns them love, or they have boundaries, but enforce them with explosions, ultimatums, threats, cold silence disguised as strength. Doormat or dictator, she's seen both. She's exhausted by both. But a Stoic man, he draws the line the way he draws breath, quietly, naturally, without apology. He doesn't over-explain. He doesn't negotiate his own limits. He doesn't punish her for reaching them. He simply holds. Firm plus calm equals safety. Not the safety of softness, the safety of structure, the kind a woman feels in her chest before she can name it. Because when a man holds a boundary peacefully, he's saying something without words. I respect myself enough to protect my peace, and I respect you enough to not turn it into a war. Boundaries spoken in calm are felt as strength. Boundaries shouted are felt as weakness. She always knows the difference. Trait number 3. He leaves without destroying what was built. A woman never forgets the man who walked away without burning everything down behind him. Most men, when it ends, turn the love into a weapon. They expose, they punish, they rewrite every memory until she's the villain and they're the victim. They take something that was once real and make it feel like it never was. A Stoic man grieves, make no mistake, but he grieves privately. He honors what was real by refusing to distort it, and he lets the ending be what endings should be: clean, final, free of poison. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, and do so with all your heart." What most men miss is the other half of that wisdom, that loving fully also means releasing fully, not because you didn't care, but because you refuse to let pain make you ugly. That's not surrender, that's sovereignty. The way a man leaves tells her more about who he is than anything he ever did while he stayed. And a clean exit haunts her, because she expected wreckage and found dignity instead. Trait number 4. He builds in silence and lets results speak. A woman never forgets the man who disappeared into silence and came back someone she almost didn't recognize. Most men announce the transformation before it begins. They post the goals, they share the plan, they need an audience just to start, and they need applause to keep going. A Stoic man vanishes into the work. No updates, no progress photos, no cryptic posts about grinding in silence. Just silence, actual silence. And then, months later, the results arrive, and he never mentioned them once. Imagine she runs into him months after the distance, maybe longer, and something is different. She can't name it immediately. He's calmer, his shoulders sit differently, his eye contact is steadier. There's a weight to him that wasn't there before, not heaviness, but gravity. He doesn't explain what happened, he doesn't list what he did, he doesn't need her to see it, and that's exactly why she can't stop seeing it. He didn't change to impress her, he changed because the work demanded it. And that distinction, that invisible line between performing growth and actually growing, is something she feels instantly. A man who builds without broadcasting has no interest in applause, and that indifference to validation is the most magnetic thing she's ever encountered. Trait number 5. He chose her without needing her. A woman never forgets the man whose love felt like a choice, never a dependency, never a drowning man reaching for the nearest shore. Most men, when they fall, they don't just fall in love, they fall into orbit. They rearrange everything. The friendships fade, the goals quietly dissolve, the hobbies disappear. Slowly, without realizing it, they make her the sun, and themselves nothing but something circling around her. And here's what they never understand. She feels it, not as devotion, as weight, because now she carries the impossible burden of being his entire world. Every bad mood she has becomes his crisis. Every step back she takes becomes his collapse. That's not love. That's a life sentence she never agreed to serve. A Stoic man loves fully, make no mistake, he is all in, but he holds himself just as fully. His world doesn't shrink to fit around her, it stays vast, rich, textured, alive, and he invites her into it, not as his missing piece, as his chosen companion. Epictetus said, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for the things which he has." This is the blueprint. Rejoice in her presence, but never grieve as though you cannot exist without it. Because here is what most men refuse to accept. Chosen freely equals loved deeply. When a woman knows, truly knows that you want her,
but do not need her, the love feels clean. No manipulation beneath it, no guilt woven through it, no invisible chains disguised as affection. She's not staying because you'll break if she leaves. She's staying because your wholeness makes her feel free to stay. The rarest thing a man can offer a woman isn't his heart. It's his wholeness. And she will never forget the man who gave her both.
Trait 6. He mastered himself before trying to master anything else. A woman never forgets the man who was at war with himself and won. Most men exhaust themselves trying to control everything around them, their career, their image, their relationships, how the world sees them. They manage everything except the one territory that actually matters. A Stoic man starts and often ends with his own mind. Self-mastery equals freedom. A man who has learned to govern his own thoughts, his impulses, his fears, his reactions, doesn't need to govern anyone else. He doesn't need to control the room. He doesn't need to control her. And that inner order radiates outward. She feels it the moment he walks in, before he speaks, before he touches her, before he does a single thing. Something in him is settled, and it settles everything around him. The first 5 traits are branches. This is the root. Every unforgettable thing about him flows from a man who conquered himself first.
So let's see him clearly now. This man she never forgot. He kept his word without announcing it, held his boundaries without raising his voice, left without destroying what was built without needing anyone to watch, loved without making her the price of his peace, and mastered himself before he ever tried to master anything else. That's not a list, that's a man. Years from now, long after the voice fades from memory, long after the face blurs into something she can't quite reconstruct, long after the conversations dissolve and the messages are deleted and the details she swore she'd never forget become soft and shapeless, she'll still remember how it felt to stand next to a man who was completely, impossibly at peace with himself. Not what he said, not what he promised, not the grand gesture or the perfect night, just the weight of his stillness, the way his calm made the room feel different, the way his presence asked nothing of her and somehow gave her everything. But here's what changes everything, and I need you to hear this clearly. This video was never about her. The man I just described, the man she carries in her memory for the rest of her life, he didn't keep his word for her approval. He didn't hold boundaries for her respect. He didn't leave cleanly so she'd think of him on quiet nights. He didn't build himself in silence hoping she'd notice the transformation. And that's the Stoic paradox no one tells you. The man who stops performing for anyone's memory becomes the only man no one can forget. Not because he was trying to be remembered, because he was too busy becoming himself to care if he was. He did all of it because somewhere along the way he made a decision, not about who he wanted to attract, but about who he refused to be. Before you go, I want to ask you something. Of those 6 traits, which one are you still at war with? Which one did you hear, understand completely, and know you haven't conquered yet? Drop the number in the comments, just the number. I'm genuinely curious which one you're working on right now. And if there's one man in your life who needs to hear this today, just one, send it to him. No explanation needed. He'll understand why you did. If this is the kind of content that speaks to who you're becoming, not who you were, not who the world expects, subscribe. There's more ahead. Stay grounded, stay silent where it matters, and stay dangerous in your peace.